cries of an orphan, mourning the passing of time. I felt pain seep from the blood's absolution, led once by wonders divine. I am amazed, left in the ruins of greatness, and I'll keep that nightmare alive. Fighting in vain, we are the feet in the shadows, and I am the beast that survived. Here come the ravens to take what is mine. They're watching eyes waiting for the rest of me to die. Here comes the reaper that hides from the light, still hunting for the heart that's still beating inside, for these ravens to find. Here come the ravens. Here come the tossed in a well long forgotten duty I had to fulfill. I can't remember why I became a lost dreamer, for vengeance for the next kill. Locked in a tower, how could we what I've done from the rest of the dreamers outside? Cursed in a portrait made of this hunter's regrets of the mother I drowned in the tide. Here come the ravens to take what is mine. They're watching eyes waiting for the rest of me to die. Here comes the reaper that hides from the light, still hunting for the heart that's still beating inside, for these ravens to find. Here come the ravens. Here come the ravens. Weep for the master that made me, and the raven that heard my last breath. Long have the hunters pursued me, and tonight I'm your angel of death. Fire, blood and desire, lost in the mire, in desolation. Lies, all of us die, and even now I am left to the ravens. Here come the ravens to bury my pride. They're hunting me in trails of my soul behind. Here comes the new blood, secrets should lie, to find rest where dreamers and beasts go to die. Here come the ravens to take what is mine. They're watching eyes waiting for the rest of me to die. Here comes the reaper that hides from the light, still hunting for the heart that's still beating inside, for these ravens to find. Here come the cries of an orphan, mourning the passing of time. I felt pain seep from the blood's absolution, led once by wonders divine. light in the world, what's left in it? Where's the next gleaming hope? Indefinite, I would like to take a stand, but not alone. Gave you what I had to give, and it's not enough. I need a shred of purpose when living gets rough. I need a place unbroken to call my home. Existing pain, even in our tragedy. When the world spins and we lose our gravity, nobody can shoot me down, no, not just yet. Voices of the crowd were screaming into the rain when those above us have long gone insane. Give me the strength I need to forget.
Hello everyone, how y'all doing? I need to check sound balance in a moment, but let me get some tweets and stuff sent out. Yo Hidden, you want to tell me if you can hear me pretty well? Cause you should be able to, but, sound balance in a moment, but let me get some... I'm good. Alright, well, Splicer was gonna join me today, but in natural Splicer fashion, I have no idea where the fuck he is, so... You know, that's helpful, but either way, we're going to talk about Youjo Senki today. I mean, possibly hidden. That may be slightly sad, but shh. We'll grow eventually. At some point. Please stop playing music and wasting my CPU. Thank you. I do love that new album from Avi though. But anyways, we're gonna talk about Youjo Senki. I can't guarantee how long this will be because my list of characters is 3 people. Technically, I only need to talk about one of them. One of them is also a main character, and one is just there. So, yeah, we can tell this is gonna be good. But, you know, let's start this off like we start off all of them and talk about the opening. I love Jingo Jungle. I'm not gonna lie, Jingo Jungle is 90% of the reason I tried to watch, well, not tried to. I did get through the anime, I just got busy and never went back to finish it until today. But, no. DJ Joe has a remix featuring Yuna for Jingo Jungle, and it is fucking amazing, and I loved it, and it made me want to watch the show, and now I have, and I'm happy, because it's, I mean, if you want to know my quick take on it, it's pretty good. I mean, it's very interesting, I think, but, no, it's pretty good. But, yeah, Jingo Jungle's great. The opening animation is okay. I'd say it's fairly average at this point compared to, like, everything else that we've done an anime talk on. It still beats Boku no Hero Academia Season 1, but that's not hard, so... I mean, unless you just put up one static picture the whole time, it's kind of hard to not beat that. But, I don't know. It was just average. It was like, yeah, there's some animation to it, but, I'll be honest, I like the ending animation better, and that was literally just static pictures, but the pictures looked really nice. Anyways, I don't know what else to say about the opening. Again, I honestly doubt I'll manage to get this to take 2 hours, unless I talk about the plot for fucking ever. But I don't have the original light novel material to go off of, so we'll see how it goes. But moving into the characters, I'm going to butcher names hardcore. The only... well, okay. No, correction. I can say Tanya Degurachev. I probably messed up her last name, but I know her first name's Tanya. And Sanzai X, or Being X, or God. Sanzai X is what Tanya calls him in the Japanese version, and I don't know, it just worked for me. But, I'm going to go backwards on my notes, because I'd rather end it talking about Tanya, who has the most shit to say about her. So let's start with Sanzai X, or literally God, which I'm now realizing that the past 2 anime have been somewhat religious in some way or another. This one more so than the other, but I mean the other one was literally about a devil, so, take what you want. But, yeah, no, Sanzai X is very, like, it is a very interesting take on how some form of a god would act. He's very, very determined to get Tanya to believe in him. Or, well, yeah, believe in him, kind of. Like, to have faith in him, basically, and Tanya fucking hates him, and it just will not work. But, yeah, you know when you usually... yes, confused, it is the real me. I live once a week. How you doing, dude? But, you know, as far as Sanzai X goes, like, usually when you think of how a god would be portrayed, especially for something that you would assume would be, like, the Christian type of god, where it's, like, the one and only one, you know, he would be kind of caring and nice. This one's just like, oh, you don't believe in me? Fuck you. Oh, you don't believe in me because you had a good life? Fuck you, I'll reincarnate you into a worse life. Sucks. Like, it's so weird, but it's kind of cool, and when I get into the plot that has a very specific purpose, it's pretty obvious. But, yeah, let's move on to what looks like a Russian name that I have no idea how to pronounce, and it's the only other main character in the show that's not Tanya, which is Serebriakova? Serebriakova? What's an anime? It's a damn good question. Confused? Most people would say that it's Japanese animation. But then I consider Ruby an anime, and that was made in America. In Texas. Probably one of the most American states, according to most people. So, who knows? But, either way. But yeah, as far as, Serebriakova, what's a weeb? A weeb is what I am. You want to know what a weeb is? Look at me. Well, I don't have face cams on these, but you get what I mean. Anyways, I don't... Serebriakova is just very, like, nice. She doesn't seem like she should be in the army, but she is, and somehow she puts up with Tanya's bullshit better than everyone else, which is great. But, I question why she's the only other main character. Confused. What do you mean, you two? Like, what? Yes, I accept the fact that most people will call me a weeb, even though, by definition, I am not a weeb, but you know what? Fuck it. I give up. I give in to the internet, man. Screw it. But anyways, yeah. Not much to say about her, even though she is literally, like, if you go on Mal, she's the only other main character. The rest are all supporting. And I don't really know why. I mean, she's kind of cute. She's nice. There's not a whole lot of character to her. So, let's move on to Tanya. Tanya is the craziest motherfucker. Like, oh my god. I say crazy when actually the whole point is that she's just very rational. And, she is also a he from a whole nother universe, in a whole nother world, who died because he was too rational. And, people didn't like his job. And they didn't like him because it was his job. So, I guess this will somewhat count as plot, but fuck it. In the second episode, you learn that Tanya is actually the reincarnation of some salary worker whose job is to lay off people, like to call them in and be like, hey, you don't have a job anymore. Sucks. And, you know, he's very rational about it. His whole existence is just rationale, and Tanya's whole existence is just rationale. And, like, what happens is he just gives it to the guy straight that he's getting laid off and why. And, because humans are desperate motherfuckers, the dude pushes him in front of a train, like, off of the subway type of thing, and just right in front of the train. And, I'll get more into the actual plot of it in a minute, but he ends up getting reincarnated in another time/universe as, Tanya, which is interesting, because he went from this, like, high and mighty, good life lived, salary dude who's like, I have every complex in the world and I am better than everyone, to, small, deadly lolly in the form of, like, insane motherfucking child with magical powers who is way too good at her job. And it's great. You know what? I feel like as we go through stuff, we can get more into, like, what Tanya's about, but she is kind of, like, I don't want to say crazy, because she's rational, but she's very, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, she doesn't... Omae wo mo shinderu? What? I feel like I should know what that means because I've heard that before, but I don't know what omae wo mo shinderu is. Is that your name? No. That's not your name, is it? Is that your lie in April? I don't know. I feel like that's an anime title, and I'm not positive. Either way, I'm still trying to think of the word that I'm thinking of to describe Tanya. It's not insane, it's not crazy, it's just very, like, maniacal. There we go. Confused, why? Here, wait, confused. I see your... It's you are already dead? Oh. What is that from? Here, wait, ready? I see your Nani, and I raise you a... Nani. Get wrecked, scrub. I have... For, the fact that I'm on a podcast that has no visuals, I have a Japanese keyboard on my thing. Hokuto no Ken. What? Confused. What the fuck are you typing? But, oh, I know why I feel like something's off of my screen. I don't have the sticky notes up. God damn it. Okay, we're good. Yeah, she's very maniacal. I don't wholly know what else to say about her off the top of my head, so, we're gonna continue on. But before I get into the plot, I want to talk about the, like, visual aesthetic of this anime. Woomy. It's the anime it's from. What? Oh. Hold on, I now have to look this up. What is Hokuto no Ken? Fist of the North... What the fuck? That's some, like, old-ass shit. Okay. I don't like old anime that much, usually. I'm okay with, like, Bleach, and, Bleach ain't that old, I guess. Nor is Inuyasha, and I'm okay with Inuyasha. Naruto, One Piece, I'm okay with, like, art style-wise. My problem is, like, the really old anime, I just don't like the way they look art style-wise, but it brings me right back around to what I wanted to talk about before the plot. The art style of the show, which I feel like some people, I get the feeling that it's a polarizing art style for some reason, because it's not cute, but it also is somewhat cute at times when it wants to be. Like, the Naruto and One Piece are just hours of filler. I mean, you're not wrong. That's why I haven't watched Naruto Shippuden. Because I tried to, and then I remembered that sometime between the Pain arc and whenever the fuck it's at now, where Naruto is, like, fucking one with Kurama and everything, Jubi mode? Is that what it is? I don't know. Somewhere in between there. It's just literally hundreds of episodes of filler, I think, and I'm like, fuck that. But, you know, people keep getting me off topic here. But, nah, art style-wise, I personally love the art style of this anime. I can definitely understand if people go, I hate this art style, what the fuck is it? Because it, like, especially because the main character's a female, and the female is just very... Well, both main characters are female, and they both just seem very, like, uncute, in a way. Another reason Shimonetta was good, it had a plot since the first episode and stuck with that plot until the end. I mean, so does this one. So do most anime. Some don't, but this one definitely follows the plot to the end. Even through the end, when we get to the plot, but, you know, I'm just, like, I personally think this is a relatively nice-looking anime, but it's also, like, gritty as fuck, because it's all about basically a World War II setting, and it's ridiculous, dude. Like, it has you know, in my opinion, a really nice art style, and it's used to depict the, like, actual horror of a war in some ways, and it's really unsettling at some points, and then at other points it's just like, kill me, because when we get into the plot, there's one part of it that I hate with a fucking passion. Like, it honestly seems like a lazy plot development because there's no reason it should have happened, but that's what happened. But, you know, on that topic, let's get into the plot. Just to be clear, I watched this whole anime today, and, I couldn't tell you any characters' names outside of Tanya. I know the girl, but I couldn't remember her name, but it's, Serebriakova, and Sanzai X. That's it. There are a bunch of characters in this show. Fuck if I know any of their names, because none of them particularly matter outside of Tanya. Like, straight up. No one else in the show really has any saying outside of what she's doing. Like, yes, some of them are higher in command than her in the army, but, like, that's not the point of what the show is. The point is that Tanya is up against God, which, at some point in the plot, probably after I talk about episode 2, I need to talk about how this show was set up, which is very interesting. But, you know, episode 1 depicts, what is it? Tanya on the battlefield, like, it's before you know that she's the reincarnation of a guy in another world who is just a kind of douchebaggy salaryman with, like, next to no empathy. And, you know, before you figure out what all happened. But it just opens up with her on the battlefield, controlling a platoon of people, not a battalion, but like a little squadron, I think they called it, of people, and, you see that she is both slightly maniacal and incredibly powerful, because, she takes out a whole other platoon, squadron thing on her own, with one, no, not with one shot. She takes out a bunch of them before she actually uses the, like, super overpowered shot. But that still kills, like, 4 of them in one hit. And she took out, like, 4 of them before that, so, yeah. But, a Splatoon of people. Oh god, hidden. I do want to play Splatoon 2, but I don't have a Switch. Someone want to donate a Switch? Nah. I'll try to get one at some point, because, I see many uses to a Switch, even as someone who plays on the PC all the time now, but, you know. Water. Okay, yeah, so, episode 1 is mainly the battle between Tanya and the squadron of people, and then, the punishment of people under her command who refused to listen to her orders and went, look, we volunteered for the army, so the only options for us are to win or to die. And she sent them to a pillbox, which, if you don't know what a pillbox is, it's literally just a place for, like, the rear troops to rest and mess around in. It got blown up and they all died. And she knew it. Like, she was fully aware of what she was doing, because they went, look, the only options for us are victory or death, and she just took it upon herself to give them the latter. Like I said, slightly maniacal. And also part of, again, why after I talk about episode 2, it's gonna be a whole thing. But, you know, that's episode 1 in a nutshell. Episode 2 is, it starts off with the fact that Tanya is a was a salary worker whose job was to lay people off from their job, so basically fired them, and it opens up with Tanya, as her male self in another life, laying off someone who missed too much work and didn't do good enough work and everything. And the guy was, like, freaking out because he has a family and stuff, and you can't just not have a job, right? Well, you know, Tanya has to do her job, so she, as the guy, did it. And, the other guy, in the, like, rage and desperation that came from that, decided to, kill him. Okay, Tanya, as a male, I do not think has a name. Like, it is never mentioned, so it's really hard to address her. Fuck it, I'm calling him Tanya. Staying Tanya. So, dude, what, confused? SNK's next, right? What is SNK? What? No, next is Aamaama to Inazuma. Oh, confused. Shingeki, I realized what SNK is. Shingeki no Kyojin is, 2 weeks from now. Because next week is Aamaama to Inazuma, and then I'll do SNK. Give me one more anime that I like before that, please. I don't know, maybe I'll like it better on the rewatch, because the first time I watched, Shingeki no Kyojin was not great, but, yeah. Very nice. Good. But, yeah, episode 2 opens up with that, Tanya laying the guy off. The guy, in fit of rage and desperation, pushes Tanya off of the, subway waiting thing in front of a train, and time stops. And, Sanzai X comes in and is like, so I'm God. And, Tanya just goes, so, bullshit. Because, realistically and rationally, there would not be a God. Because, what is it? Something to the effect of, if there were an actual God, he wouldn't let that happen, where someone just up and murders someone because he's fucking angry and whatever. And Sanzai X is like, well, it's my job to reincarnate people, so you don't believe in me, you don't want to respect me at all, fuck you. And he's like, well, look, the only reason people cling to a god is because they're in dire straits. And Sanzai X goes, so if I put you in those dire straits, would you worship me? Like, you just get the feeling that God is a dick in this show. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of is. But, Tanya instantly, like, freaks out because he's like, no, stop, no, you, I may have said that, but I didn't mean that. Look, and Sanzai X like, nope, fuck you, you're gonna be in dire straits. And then it shows how, Tanya, as actual little blonde-haired, blue-eyed lolly Tanya, the better Tanya, comes about from being, an orphan in a church, taken in by nuns, up through becoming a... Oh. Yeah, no, I need to catch back up on Boku no Hero Academia Season 2, but, I'll get there eventually. Shit, what was I saying? Yeah, it shows Tanya as, like, toddler who was an orphan that got brought in, shows her grow up a bit. She's a lollipop. Oh god. Don't lick that lollipop. That lollipop will fucking kill you. But, you know, goes through that, gets to the point where they do, like, a magical aptitude test, finds out that Tanya has a lot of magical aptitude, and she goes, well, time to get myself a job, and at the age of 9, joins the military. 'cause, yep. She's the best one in the military, too, because also, yep. But works. Whatever. Not gonna question it too hard. So, yeah, that's all of episode 2 right there. Half of the episode is just the build-up to why Tanya is now a lolly general. And the second half is how she went from being a child to a lolly general. That's it. This is like all of episode 2. It is not a very interesting episode, and I felt... Well, no, I'll get to episode 6.5 later, because that one's just bad. Ugh. 6.5 literally needed to not exist, but I watched it for the sake of, in case anything new happened. Anyways, I'm gonna take the time after I explained episode 2 to talk about, the way the show is presented. Because Tanya is the quote-unquote good guy of the show, and she's not. She's one of the, like, not-so-great people in the show. But, and, if you want to hear this explained better, there's a video by Digibro, either on Digibro or Digi After Dark, Digibro After Dark, one of the two, and it's about this, and this is, I'm kind of paraphrasing it a little bit with my own, like, stuff put in there, but he was basically saying how you root for Tanya, not because she's good, you root for Tanya because she's up against God. That's the only reason you care about Tanya, in a sense of, like, why would I want her to come out on top? Because it's, for the most part, outside of, like, the Empire, who loves her because she's a god of war, basically, everyone, like, who fights her hates her because she's not a great person. Her platoon kind of gets fucked with her as their leader because she's not a great person. But then she's up against God, an undefeatable force, so you hope that she can win somehow. And it's really interesting. They kind of just make you... This is also why I feel like God is put up in a very... Like, he seems so much like a dick in this show. It's because, you want to root for the lesser of the two evils, and the one who reincarnates someone into dire straits just to get them to worship him is probably the greater of the two evils out of the guy who was just doing his fucking job. So, yeah, that's, in a sense, kind of why you root for Tanya. Though, I mean, Tanya is also, like, very rootable for? You get what I mean. Like, I feel like you could still want to root for her, even if it wasn't the fact that she's going up against God at points, because the military is a fucked up place. But, yeah, so, I just wanted to take a moment to, talk about that real quick, because that's a whole thing. Like I said, if you want to hear that explained, more concisely and better, watch Digibro's video on it. That was just a very rough, like, paraphrase of it. Keep in mind, I haven't seen it in, like, 2 months, so, yeah. But, continuing on, episode 3. The fuck was episode 3? I don't know what episode 3 was. You know what? We're not gonna do it episode by episode. We're gonna go by what I remember. Which, I will say, a lot of this plot is somewhat unmemorable, just because it's, like, not that great. I know that the light novels, the first light novel is coming out in English in November, and I'm probably gonna get it and read it, and I hope that it's better at, like, making me understand the plot than the anime was. Like, I understand the plot of the anime, but trying to paraphrase it back is not easy, especially for the first half of the show. Because I can't tell you much of what happened in the first half of the show, because I have no idea. and I just watched it this morning. Like, who knows? Something happened. Things did occur throughout there. No, I kind of know what happened a little bit when I think about it now. So after episode 2, it goes back to Tanya normally on the battlefield. She, at some point, ends up getting a sort of promotion or something to go back to Capital. And she sends Serebriakova off to become a general or a captain or something. Something easier than being on the front lines. And Tanya goes out. It's not to the capital then. It might be to the capital, but it's for testing a new gem thing. They're what do they call those? I don't know, the thing that like harnesses the magic power. Yeah, that. I don't remember what they call it. A computation jewel, I think, something like that. Probably. We're gonna call it computation jewel because that sounds right. But she's testing out a new one, and it's very unstable. Like, really unstable. And she's just like, the scientist is literally just insane. And she's like, will you quit making me try this? It keeps breaking. It blew up once. The only reason it didn't blow up a second time is because I stopped it. And then, you know, she's like freaking out on him for basically being a, like, literal crazy person. And, or an insane person, because what is it? What is it Tanya says? Something along the lines of, they say a thin line separates genius and insanity, and he's not in the genius line. That's for damn sure. But then it goes through, and Tanya gets greeted by Sanzai X again for the first time in 10 years. And he just goes, "Oh, you still have no faith in me. Fuck you." As basically, he's like, I will win this war. Watch me. And, the next day, after Tanya wakes up, the scientist goes, so, yeah, I'm very positive that this will work out, because I believe in God. Because, Sanzai X left a note that said, Deus Lo Volt, or, yeah, which means God wills it. And, Tanya was like, oh, damn it. It is gonna be like this, isn't it? So, she tests out the computation jewel again, and she can't stop it from blowing up, because the safety mechanisms don't work. And then Sanzai X stops time again and goes, so I'm gonna perform a miracle. I'm going to make you not blow up into a million little pieces, and you're gonna have to pray to me to use it, because fuck you. Again, God is just portrayed as a dick in this, and it's really weird. But, Tanya's like, you son of a bitch. She literally just goes, that's cheating, and I'm like, yeah, kind of, but it's God, he has that ability. So, stops time, stops the computation jewel from blowing up, and then time starts back up again normally, and Tanya prays, and it works. Quite like it, like, Sanzai X said it would. So, that was good. And then she got put back out on the front lines, well, she requested a transfer to go back to the front lines before Sanzai X visited her the first time to talk about, like, oh, you still don't worship me. Screw off, you know? Yeah, she requested transfer before then. And then the next day was when that happened, and then she got put into the front lines after that with the new jewel, because that computation jewel is actually really good when it works. It's, like, the best one ever. And that's when... Is that... No. Yeah, that's kind of around when she takes out the platoon of people on her own, because she's a god of war, basically. So, goes through the war for a little bit, ends up getting the departure, or the callback to capitals now. That's when she gets called back to capital. Sends in a thing for Serebriakova. I'm never gonna get that name right. To go off and train for something not on the front lines. Goes to the capital and starts doing some schooling. It's a very lulled out point of thing. It's just a very dry point of the anime. That whole bit for a little while. And then she talks with one of the higher ups in the army. And by higher ups I mean he's a something or other. I keep opening my door. So is this channel just anime talk from now on? For a while, yes, hidden. That is what it is. But I can't get what I'm trying to say. Mostly because I don't remember the guy's name. But he's the head of one of the 3 heads of the, what is it? Organization HQ or something like that? Strategy HQ? One of those. And, he talks to her about, Tanya, what do you think will come of this war that we're in? And she goes, well, it's gonna become a world war. And the only real thing you could do about it is take a battalion of mages, which the mages are what the people who can use magic are called. And, a battalion is bigger than a platoon. And, she's like, yep, take a battalion of mages and use them as, a quick response force. And, the guy takes that into consideration, and when she's done with schooling, they call her in to talk about, what she's gonna go do after that for the army. And, the one guy's, being all formal, and then he leaves, and then the guy that she told that plan to went, so, yeah, no, you're gonna be the leader of that battalion you were talking about. Good luck on ya. That was pretty much it, and she just went, well, fuck. Because she wants an easy life. She doesn't want to have to deal with this shit. And Sanzai X just kind of fucks it all up for her, as is apparently his job. So, goes and does that, so she is now supposed to lead this battalion to, be a quick response force for the war. Yeah. And then episode 6.5 happens, which is just a recap of everything up to that point, which is stupid. And that did not need to exist. That was literally just, we want some reason to make it a 13-episode anime instead of a 12-episode anime. We're gonna make a recap episode in the middle. Because that's fucking necessary. That episode is just bad. I should have mentioned that it during her training for the army and everything, she ended up fighting a platoon, during her training on her own, and one of the guys becomes important later, 3 times, which is the part that I was saying was lazy plot development, because why? But, yeah, after the recap, it kind of kicks back up again, because now it shows Tanya trying to get this battalion of mages together, and, let's just say all those mages are kind of dumb for the most part, but she ends up getting a battalion together, and she starts training them. She trains them up a bit, and, they get sent out to take out an army invading from the dukedom of Dacia, I think is what it was. And, yeah, that army had no mages. They were using really outdated fighting tactics. It wasn't working well for them. There were 600,000 of them, and they all got murdered. Hold on, people are knocking on the door.
Your dad.
on a stream.
He wouldn't know what you want from Wendy's.
Oh, guys, hold on. Hold on, guys.
Yeah.
I'm ordering dinner. Give me a moment. Alright, we're done with that. Continuing on. So, where was I? I don't fucking remember. Yeah, taking out the Dukedom of Dacia army that was 600,000 people, and they all just got murdered because they sucked. Real bad. That happened. And then it went on to where they got sent back out to where Tanya was, like, first stationed on the front lines, which was the Rhine Theater. I don't know why they called them theaters, but they did. Like, every battle area was a theater, which was... I don't know. Maybe that's the thing that they actually call them? Huh. That's what it was called in the show, though. So, went back out to Rhine Theater. Did some stuff there. Yeah. Fought people. I don't know what else to tell you. Then they went out to, a fjord, which is literally, like, just Iceland. I mean, not like... Yeah, it's just land of ice and freezing water, and it sucks. And, that guy that I mentioned earlier about, that she met, well, during a fight in, during her training, came back and saw her, and, tried to kill her, and she should have killed him. She should have fucking killed him. Like, there's no reason that guy should have been alive after that fight. But he was. Pisses me off. Because shitty plot development is shitty. But, I should say, the point of this whole, like, the reason they got sent out to the, fjord was to, create, like, an opening for, ships from the Empire to, like, come in there and take over so that they could do a flank attack on the enemy, later on a little bit to, end the war. Or, well, what they hoped would end the war. It didn't, but they hoped it would. So yeah, that gives some context as to why the hell they're at a fjord. But that battle happens, everything goes well, and it becomes this, like, amazing military feat that they did, which is cool, I guess. Yeah, again, that guy should have been fucking dead, but he's not, and it's bullshit. Comes back a third time. Tired of seeing his fucking face, dude. But, what happens after the fjord? Something happens after that. They go off. I forget if there's anything in between that and this that's actually, like, of true importance to the main point of the show. But, after the fjord, they go for another, like, kind of covert ops-ish mission, which is just destroy the headquarters of one of the opposing armies. And, they do. Not much else to say about that. They manage it. It happens. They get flown in there by some weird-ass invention from the same insane scientist as before, except it worked this time. And, yeah, they infiltrated, took it out. Problem solved. And then, the flank maneuver was set up now, so they started a flank. They blew up another battalion of men, or like another force of men that was in a different spot, and killed all of them, so that this flank would take out the rest of that army. And yeah, the flank happens. The flank went great, except the mages, like Tanya's battalion, ended up meeting that same guy. Third time's a charm, right? No, he ends up dead finally, which is fucking great. That's not the end of it, though. Fucking daughter. But, nah, so, yeah, they get into, like, a huge sky battle, because it's, like, a whole nother battalion of, mages that come in, and that guy's leading it. It's just bad. But, yeah. Goes through that whole battle. You think a few people die, but then, you know, they didn't, which is great, because one guy didn't die and he got fucking stabbed in the chest. Why was he alive? Ugh. I tell you what, the score on this is not going to be too amazing. I do like the anime, but goddamn, the plot pisses me off. There's no reason that guy should have been alive any longer. Nor was there a need for the fucking recap in the middle, but we'll get to that in a little. So, yeah, that whole battle happens. Tanya does kill the motherfucker finally, which is beautiful. Well, correction. He blows himself up after he should have been dead anyway from getting lit up by a fucking SMG. Like, he got stabbed in the chest again by Tanya, got shot in the arm, let go, got riddled with... What was the way this happened? At some point he ended up riddled with bullets from an SMG. Some point he got stabbed in the chest. Sometime he got shot. All in the same fight. And the motherfucker, because Deus Lovalt still had enough energy to not be dead and blow himself up by, like, overloading his magic. Shitty plot development. I don't know how much I can point out that the purpose of that guy is to be some, like, strong enemy, and it's just shitty plot development, and I hate it. But, I concede, fuck! I don't remember the term for it, but, okay, this is gonna drive me nuts because I should know this. I digress. There we go. Yeah, that. I digress. We understand my standpoint on that guy. So that happens, and then the war is over. They won that battle pretty well. Like, no one's denying that they didn't win that. But, they left a bunch of people alive, and as Tanya knows, if you leave them alive, they'll come back again. And no one else in the army wanted to believe that, and then they came back again. Except that was at the end of the season, so... I do hope they make a season 2, but here's my problem. At the end of the show, after you watch the ending for the last episode, episode 12, or 13, depending on how you want to look at it, after you watch that, you get through the ending, and then at the end, it shows that same dude who showed up 3 fucking times, shows his daughter. She joins the US Army. And has that same, like, pray to God, get power thing that Tanya had, which the other guy also had, which now his daughter has. And his daughter's gonna go after Tanya. Fucking end that bullshit. Like, it's not the guy? Fine, we'll make it his daughter. It won't be the daughter? Fine, we'll make it his daughter's son or something. Like, god damn, dude. Oh. I'll tell you what doesn't make an interesting plot. Fighting the same guy 3 times. Not great. Tell you what makes it even less interesting. After fighting that same guy 3 times, putting his daughter as the enemy for the obviously hoped for next season, which again, I do hope they make another season, but god damn, I hope the plot isn't as, like, bullshit with that. So, yeah, that was my description of the plot. That was literally everything of honest importance to the show. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know, the plot was very forgettable. Like, I like the show, but it's not the most memorable thing on Earth. So, let's talk about the endings real quick. Like, I love the one ending. I've never watched an anime and watched the ending more than once or twice. I watched the ending song to this anime every time. There's one episode that has a different ending than the rest of them, so I watched that one too. The first episode, the ending is the beginning of the next one, which is, like, I knew that because I know that the opening is Jingo Jungle, but, so I didn't watch it then, but, yeah, there's one ending that's most of the show, and it's actually, from what I gathered from Googling it, it's actually sung by the voice actor of Tanya, in the voice of Tanya, which is awesome. I love when anime do things like that. And I love that song so much. Also, Sup Hidden, I see you're back. I don't know why it took me so long to read that message, because I assume it was there for a while, and I just didn't notice. Sorry, man. But, welcome back, dude. Honestly, this isn't going to be much longer. This is only going to be like an hour-long anime talk, because the plot is forgettable as fuck, and I left out a bunch of details because I forgot them. But, oh well. But yeah, that ending that is shown for 90% of the show is amazing. And, again, even though the animation to the ending is literally just static pictures of Tanya, they're really high-quality pictures of Tanya that I love, and, it makes me happy. So, like, they're really cool. Some of them are cool, some of them are, like, some of them are definitely meant to be, probably sexy-ish version of her, but it just kinda doesn't work. Most of the, like, you could see where it would be, but then it's Tanya, and you're just kinda like, eh. But, I mean, they all do look pretty cool, so that's good. But, the other ending is, it's not anywhere near as good as the other one, in my opinion. Like, it's a much slower song, and, you know, I think it was at the end of episode 6.5, which doesn't need to exist. So, if it was, and I'm remembering that right, that song didn't need to exist either. I don't even remember the animation to it, so, oh well. I don't think there really was one. The other ending is far superior anyway. Yeah. So, I'm confused by the fact that this didn't take that long. It only took an hour, but there's nothing to talk about. Like, the biggest thing to talk about would be Tanya against God, but then you can sum that up as Tanya against God. That's it. Problem solved. The plot is the same guy fighting Tanya 3 times. Fucking worthless. And then, like, a lot of the other stuff that I like, forget is stuff that doesn't revolve necessarily around Tanya directly. I did leave out one part in, like, a place called, Armene? Something like that? Armene, I think? And, I don't know. There's, like, some stuff about how, I guess, character building for the support characters of the battalion, which have no fucking bearing on the story at all, because Tanya could do their whole job on her own. Like, I don't know. I care not for any character in this show outside of Tanya and Sera Buryakova. And the only reason I care about Sera Buryakova is because she's nice and kind of cute. That's about it. And, no, I don't even really care about Sunzai X, or Being X. Like, he's literally just there so that Tanya doesn't seem as evil as she actually kind of is. That's it. Yeah. Let's talk about what I'm giving this anime. I shit on it a lot right here in this, but I do like the anime. I'm trying to think of what I want to give it. Okay, let me look up something real quick. Let me go to Mal. Let me look up Youjo Senki. Let's see what other people say about Youjo Senki. Like, score-wise. Because, again, I do like the anime. It's not terrible. Okay, it's an 8.16, which for Mal is more like a 5 or a 6. Which is roughly what I'm going to give it. I think I'll give it a 6. I do like it. As many gripes as I have about the plot, if you watch the whole show and get the whole feeling, it's not as bad. It's still bad about the fact that the motherfucking guy came back after getting definitely killed. It pisses me off. Shitty plot development is shitty. And then at the end of the show, it's like, so, if we make a season 2, guess who the main enemy's gonna be? It's that guy's daughter. Like, kill me. But, yeah, nah. I'll give it a 6. I do like it. I do think that, on average, it is slightly above average for, like, a baseline of what I would consider an average anime. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. This one's real short, which is weird because usually when it's an anime I can talk about it for a while, as we've seen the past 2 times, where I can talk about it for 2 hours and not care. This one, not so much, because there ain't a lot to talk about. But I do recommend that you watch this anime if you want to see an interesting anime. It is a cool anime, and again, over the course of the whole show, the plot isn't as bad as I make it probably seem. I just am very gripey about when anime throw the same fucking enemies at you 50 times, which I'm sure someone will point out, like, well, Boku no Hero Academia, at least that one was a 2nd season where fucking Homura came in again. Like, it's not all one run of the damn season. So, yeah. But, oh well, you know. Like, I think part of it is just, it was only in 1 season, and there wasn't a lot between it that it pisses me off so much. Also that he definitely should have been dead, but anime logic kicked in hardcore. Dave's Low Volt, everyone! Yeah. But yeah, if you watch the whole anime, you'll get a better idea of it. I'm pretty sure I gave Boku no Hero Academia Season 1 a 6 after I talked about Boku no Hero Academia Season 2 and went, yeah, no, the first season wasn't that great. And I do think Youjo Senki is about on par with that, where, like, it's interesting, but it's not amazing. Like, it's definitely not anime of the year type of thing. It's definitely not, like, gonna be a classic anime that must be watched. But it's pretty good. Like, for stuff that's out right now, not bad. I'd give it a watch. At least give, like, the first episode a watch or something. The first episode is a pretty good first episode. The second episode's pretty interesting because it sets up the interesting premise of Tanya's backstory. And then the whole war thing is interesting. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I'd recommend it, but not, like, super highly. Anyways, I literally can't drag out a conversation about this anime any longer, so I'm gonna tell you next week's anime, which is Aamaama to Inazuma, which is, in English, Sweetness and Lightning. Now, this anime, I know I will end up, like, if I'm the only one talking about it, it won't matter. I could talk about this anime for 2 hours without much of a problem. Because even just thinking back about it now, I can remember more about the plot than I remember about Youjo Senki. I watched Youjo Senki this morning. I watched Aamaama to Inazuma a few months ago. So, yeah, it'll be good. I will say, as compared to everything else that we've watched for the anime talk so far, it is a hell of a lot more tame. Because, just as a little heads up in case this might not be your thing, it's a slice of life anime about a single dad with a daughter the dad's a teacher, and it's literally just about his life there and how he kind of needs to learn how to cook because he's not great at it. And then one of his students decides, oh, I'll cook for you, and she definitely has a crush on him. It's great. Anyways, I don't want to spoil that too much. Watch it. I recommend Aamaama to Inazuma. Well over, like, how much I would recommend Youjo Senki, because it's more memorable. But, anyways, that's gonna be it. I'm sorry that it was only an hour, but I don't know what to tell you. Not a whole lot to say about Youjo Senki. So, anyways, guys, that is gonna be it for this week. I hope to see you all here next week for Aamaama to Inazuma. It'll be better, I promise. I know for a fact that it will be. So, yeah. Yeah, just hope to see y'all next weekend. Have a good one, everyone.